The Galactic Council sat in a towering amphitheater, its rows filled with representatives from every known starfaring species. They gathered to discuss the current crisis, a sudden power shift caused by the rise of humanity. Each delegate wore stern expressions and vibrant robes. Their faces showed concern, surprise, and, in some cases, outright fear. Until recently, humans had been considered a minor race, new to interstellar travel and late to join the Council. Now, they were at the center of a growing storm. Far away on a remote battlefield, a powerful army led by the Vashri Empire closed in on the human colony of Danu Prime. The Vashri took pride in their advanced weapons and decades of galactic conquest. They believed humanity would fall quickly under their assault. However, rumors spread through the galaxy that the humans were not as weak as everyone assumed. Whispers spoke of a new kind of space warfare technology, something never before seen by any species. On Danu Prime's surface, Commander Aria Lawson stood on a rugged cliff edge, gazing down at a massive plain of dust and rocks. Her short brown hair whipped around in the winds that swept across the planet's barren landscape. She squinted against the glare of Danu's bright sun. From this vantage point, she saw the Vashri landing ships descending like steel predators. Smoke trailed behind them, evidence of hurried engines. Thousands of hostile troops would soon surge onto human soil. Behind her, hidden bunkers lay carved into solid rock. Inside, human engineers and soldiers scrambled to prepare for the oncoming fight. The ground shook with each new Vashri ship touching down. Aria could almost feel the thunder of enemy boots marching across the plains. Fear threatened to tighten her chest, but she refused to yield to it. She took a deep breath. "This is the moment we prove ourselves," she thought. A soft beep from her wrist communicator drew her attention. "Commander Lawson," came a voice. "Lieutenant Marcus Hall." His tone was urgent. "They're deploying ground mechs. Our scouts say they have at least 50. Each can level a small city. We can't match their number." Aria pressed a button on the device. "We won't fight them head-on," she said calmly. "Activate Project Zephyr as soon as they are in range." Silence followed for a moment. Then Lieutenant Hall replied, voice shaking with excitement. "Yes, Mom." Project Zephyr was humanity's most guarded secret, a fusion of advanced weaponry and experimental tactics that had never been tested in real combat. If it worked, it would shock every observer in the galaxy. If it failed, humanity would lose more than just one colony. They would lose their reputation and possibly their future. Meanwhile, at the Galactic Council's amphitheater, an urgent transmission from the field reached the gathered delegates. They watched live feeds of the Vashri invasion, their many alien eyes glued to hovering holoscreens. The Council had seen the might of the Vashri conquer world after world. They expected a short, brutal takeover, leaving humans forced to surrender. Yet, something about the data from Danu Prime did not match the Council's assumptions. The human lines were not collapsing. Instead, they were holding. "Impossible," muttered Ambassador Xathrin, a tall, reptilian being from the Rand Consortium. His voice was filled with disbelief as he studied the incoming information. No species has ever resisted the Vashri so effectively on open ground. High above Danu Prime, the human fleet orbited, consisting of only a handful of frigates and one battered cruiser. Against the mighty Vashri armada, it seemed laughably small. Yet the human ships evaded heavy laser fire with surprising agility. They darted between the Vashri capital ships, using cunning tactics instead of raw power. On the planet's surface, Commander Lawson stepped back into the bunker to confirm final preparations. Engineers bustled around glowing control panels. Each display showed live positions of the enemy. A hush fell as Aria spoke. "Is Project Zephyr ready?" A young engineer, sweat on his brow, nodded vigorously. "Yes, Commander. The drones are prepped. The coil accelerators are online." "Good," Aria replied, her voice steady despite the tension. "We have one chance. When I give the signal, launch them." Outside, The Vashri mechs advanced over rocky terrain. Their towering metal forms bristled with cannons and missile pods. Dust clouds swirled around their feet. Vashri ground troops followed in close formation, convinced that victory was moments away. Overconfidence radiated from their ranks. They expected the humans to cower or attempt a last, hopeless stand. But from the hidden bunkers, tiny drones burst forth, humming with unseen energy. There were hundreds of them, each no bigger than a backpack. They spread out in disciplined formations, weaving through the air like a living swarm. The Vashri soldiers hardly had time to react. A moment later, a coordinated wave of electromagnetic pulses erupted from the drones. Across the plain, the mechs shuddered. Their heavy joints spasmed as the pulses disrupted every circuit. Some mechs toppled forward, crushing troops beneath them. Others froze in place, their weapons refusing to fire. Panicked shouts filled the air as Vashri soldiers struggled to maintain order. Then came the second phase of Project Zephyr, a new type of coil-vent technology the humans had perfected in secret. Positioned on ridges and inside bunkers, human artillery teams aimed coil cannons charged with advanced power cells. When they fired, rail-like tubes glowed, unleashing projectiles at incredible speed. The Vashri mechs, already crippled by electromagnetic bursts, offered little resistance. One by one, they exploded under the force of the coil gun strikes. Commander Lawson watched on a monitor in the bunker, heart pounding as the battlefield lit up with fire and smoke. The plan was succeeding beyond her most hopeful expectations. The Vashri lines collapsed into chaos. Soldiers scrambled for cover, only to find themselves trapped in a deadly crossfire orchestrated by the well-prepared human defenders. Overhead, human frigates launched precision strikes on the Vashri capital ships, exploiting newly invented sensor scrambling devices. Missiles slipped past enemy shields and found their targets. Nearby star systems listened in disbelief to the battle reports. The humans were not merely defending, they were winning. Back at the Galactic Council, every representative leaned forward in shock. Footage showed entire ranks of Vashri war machines lying in burning heaps. Streams of coil-vent fire streaked across the sky, painting arcs of light through billowing smoke. A tremor passed through the amphitheater as the council members exchanged stunned glances. "How did they develop such weapons?" asked a soft, trembling voice from the upper rows. "We had no records of this technology in the human database." No one could answer. The live feed continued to display the impossible. A smaller, less resourced force outmaneuvering and outgunning the galactic superpower. The humans, who were once mocked for their late arrival to interstellar affairs, had just rewritten the rules of space warfare. As the day wore on, the Vashri retreated, dragging along whatever remained of their damaged mechs. Danu Prime still stood, protected by the cunning and boldness of human innovation. Within the bunkers, cheers erupted among the exhausted troops. Hugs, tears, and shouts of triumph filled the narrow corridors. Commander Lawson, however, knew this was only the beginning. She stared at the monitors, certain the rest of the galaxy would be watching. For better or worse, humanity had revealed its hidden strength. The question now was how the Council, and the many rivals lurking in the shadows, would respond. Aria allowed herself a small, tight smile. "We're not the easy prey they thought we were," she thought, walking away from the screen. "Now the entire galaxy knows it." In the vast amphitheater of the Galactic Council, dozens of alien delegates murmured in hushed voices. The entire hall crackled with tension and curiosity. Only hours had passed since the Council received live reports of humanity's stunning victory on Danu Prime. The Vashri Empire, once seen as nearly unstoppable, had been forced to retreat. It was a historical event. No small or emerging race had ever beaten the Vashri so decisively. Seated in the upper levels, Ambassador Xathrin of the Rand Consortium drummed his scaled fingers on a glowing datapad. He had rewatched the battlefield footage multiple times: small human drones disabling giant mechs, advanced coil weapons ripping through thick Vashri armor, and an orbital fleet that operated with surprising precision. Every time he saw it, he felt a chill run down his spine. How could they develop such technology in secret? Catherine muttered. He looked over at his assistant, a young wren with wide, nervous eyes. His assistant shook her head, tapping her own datapad. We checked known archives. Until now, humans were recorded as technologically average at best. Their ships had standard weapons, and they joined the Council only a few cycles ago. There's no indication of hidden research. At the center of the amphitheater, where the Council's main floor opened, an elevated platform displayed a holographic replay of the last moments of the battle. Every delegate watched in silence as a single human commander, Area Lawson, directed the final wave of coil gunfire. The mechs exploded in bright flashes, and the Vashri lines crumbled before retreating. A figure rose from one of the grand seats, Counselor Arvo of the Olerin. He towered over many in attendance, with shimmering blue skin and elongated limbs. His voice, amplified by built-in speakers, resonated across the chamber. "Fellow Council members," he began, "we stand at a turning point. Humanity's new warfare has changed the balance of power. We must decide how to respond." Catherine leaned forward to listen. Others did the same, their gazes locked on Counselor Arvo. A hush fell, broken only by the gentle hum of holographic devices. Arvo continued. "Some suggest an immediate investigation into human military research. Others warn that if we openly challenge them, we risk provoking a conflict we are not prepared for." A wave of murmurs rolled through the assembly. To many, the idea of the entire Council confronting humanity seemed extreme. Yet, fear of the unknown guided their thoughts. The humans were no longer the quiet newcomers. They had displayed might strong enough to repulse an empire. Meanwhile, on Danu Prime, Commander Area Lawson emerged from her bunker into the sunlit plains. The air still smelled of burnt metal and scorched earth. Human engineers and medics rushed about, tending to wreckage and wounded soldiers. Pieces of destroyed mechs lay scattered across the landscape, marking the site of the Vashri's humiliating defeat. Lieutenant Marcus Hall jogged over, panting. "Commander, we've secured the area," he reported. "Our scouts confirm the Vashri have fully withdrawn from Danu Prime's orbit." Area let out a slow breath of relief. Though fatigue weighed heavily on her, she kept her posture straight. "Good. Start salvage operations on the Vashri mechs. Any technology we can learn from is valuable." Hall nodded. "Understood. And Commander, the entire galaxy is watching us now. We've had requests for interviews from Council reporters. They want to learn more about Project Zephyr." Area frowned, her expression firm. "They can keep wondering," she said. "No statements about our military secrets." Hall quickly agreed. "Of course, I'll direct them to the standard press release." Inside a temporary command tent, scientists and engineers pored over data collected from the battle. A tall woman with silver-streaked hair, Dr. Evelyn Crane, led the group. Project Zephyr was her brainchild, an ambitious blend of drone technology, electromagnetic pulses, and coil gun artillery. She had gambled her reputation on its success. Now, it was proven in combat. Yet, Dr. Crane looked troubled. "We've shown our hand to the galaxy," she said quietly, tapping a holographic display of the mechs. "The Council will be curious. Some might view us as a threat. The question is whether that curiosity will lead to partnerships or new enemies." Her colleague, an older engineer named Jonas Albright, scratched his chin. "Knowing the Council, they'll probably want tight control over our tech, or they might try to replicate it." Crane gave a small shrug. "We'll see how Commander Lawson and Earth's leadership handle it. Right now, we need to focus on reinforcing Danu Prime. The Vashri might come back with stronger forces." Back in the Galactic Council chambers, the debate intensified. Counselor Arvo tried to maintain order while heated voices clashed below him. Some argued for a peaceful approach, opening dialogue with humanity, encouraging them to share their defense methods for the greater good. Others, driven by fear, suggested an immediate blockade to prevent the spread of human aggression. Ambassador Xathrin raised his hand. "Respected counselors," he began, drawing attention. "We have all seen the footage. Yes, we are concerned. But let us not forget that humanity did not attack first. They defended a colony from the Vashri, who are known for aggressive expansion. Are we blaming the humans for protecting themselves?" A low rumble of agreement filled the air. A tall insectoid representative from the Lear hive clicked in support. The Vashri had not won many friends in the council, thanks to their history of hostile takeovers. Councillor Arvo folded his elongated arms, his voice calm yet firm. "Ambassador Xathrin brings up a key point. Let us not act in haste. I propose we send an official delegation to meet with human leaders. We need direct answers. Humanity has crossed into a new realm of warfare, and the entire galaxy must adjust." The assembly murmured again, but with slightly less panic. The idea of a formal mission to Danu Prime or Earth began to take shape. Arvo called for a vote, and soon the council members pressed glowing buttons at their seats. The result flashed on the large central display: a majority in favor of diplomatic talks with humanity. Far from the council's grand halls, the battered Vashri fleet limped away from Danu Prime. In the flagship's command center, Emperor Sarzik glared at the damage reports. His once proud armada, known for crushing resistance across dozens of worlds, had been humiliated by a foe they considered inferior. A Vashri officer approached, voice trembling. "Your Grace, the Empire demands retribution. Our intelligence networks call for an immediate second assault." Sarzik lashed out with a claw, striking the officer's console. Sparks flared as metal dented under his blow. "We underestimated the humans once, and it cost us dearly," he snarled. "We will not repeat that mistake." His black eyes narrowed in fury. "Alert our researchers. I want to know the source of that new human technology. If the Council tries to protect them, we'll deal with that too." Back on Danu Prime, Commander Aria Lawson stood on a cliff that overlooked the scared battlefield. She recalled the thunderous sounds of mechs falling, the cheers of her soldiers, and the tense moment when the drones first activated. A wave of relief coursed through her, mixed with the weight of what would come next. Humanity had shown the galaxy something new, something powerful. Though they had earned a fierce new respect, they might also have gained new enemies. Aria's gaze swept across the horizon, where the setting sun cast long shadows across the land. She knew this victory was just one chapter in a story that would transform the entire galactic order. As the sun dipped below the rocky plains, lights from human outposts blinked on, illuminating a world that had refused to surrender. A world now at the center of galactic attention. The question that lingered in everyone's mind, human and alien alike, remained unanswered. Would humanity's pioneering space warfare usher in a new era of peace, or ignite an even bigger conflict? The aftermath of the battle on Danu Prime rippled across the stars. News of humanity's bold victory, using innovative space warfare tactics, spread through countless star systems. Fear, admiration, and curiosity united species that rarely agreed on anything. Some saw the humans as heroes, others viewed them as a looming threat. Everyone, however, recognized that the galaxy would never be the same. In the grand halls of the Galactic Council, delegates prepared for a rare special session. This meeting would decide how to deal with the humans and their newly revealed technology. The marble floors and towering pillars reflected centuries of tradition, but the tension in the air was fresh. Representatives whispered anxiously, scanning each other's faces for clues about the upcoming vote. Ambassador Xathrin of the Rand Consortium stood near the center of the chamber, datapad in hand. His reptilian eyes glanced over last-minute intelligence. The Vashri were already rebuilding their forces, searching for weaknesses in human defenses. Meanwhile, some smaller species considered allying with humanity, hoping to learn from their advanced tactics. A chime sounded, and Councillor Arvo of the Olerin stepped onto the central platform. His towering frame and calm demeanor commanded attention. His voice, amplified by the dome's acoustic design, resonated throughout the chamber. Members of the Council, we convene today to determine how we approach this new reality. Humanity has shown us weapons and strategies we have never seen. The question is, do we stand with them, or do we stand against them? A murmur of voices swept the amphitheater. The large holoscreen overhead displayed footage of the battered Vashri mechs on Danu Prime. The images were a stark reminder of the might humans possessed. Nearby, a representative with silver-feathered wings raised his hand. Councillor Arvo, the Lyran Dominion believes we should invite humanity to share their technology, openly and without restriction. Such cooperation could bring new security to all of us. A second voice, cold and sharp, spoke from the opposite side. And what if they refuse? Demanded a slender, pale delegate of the Chronai Syndicate. We risk letting a technologically superior force remain outside full council control. That could lead to chaos. Arvo lifted both hands to calm the delegates. That is why we must vote. We can either invite them into a deeper alliance, or we can impose restrictions. Understand that either path carries risk. On Danu Prime, Commander Area Lawson stood on a newly reinforced wall at the edge of the human settlement. Beyond the wall lay fields of craters and dismantled mech parts. Wind carried the scent of burnt metal, a reminder of the battle. Area turned her gaze skyward. Word had reached her that a diplomatic mission from the Council was on its way. She felt a mixture of pride and anxiety. Pride in her soldiers for accomplishing the impossible, and anxiety about how the galaxy would respond. The drones, coil guns, and electromagnetic pulses of Project Zephyr had protected Danu Prime, but they had also exposed humanity's capabilities for all to see. Lieutenant Marcus Hall approached with a salute. "Commander, the Council's envoy has arrived in orbit. They want to land and speak with you directly." Area nodded. "Coordinate with them. Show courtesy but remain on alert." Hall grinned. "Understood." Soon, a small council shuttle descended through the orange sky, its thrusters scattering dust as it landed. Area waited at a makeshift landing pad alongside a few trusted officers. The shuttle's doors hissed open, revealing a small group of alien diplomats. Each wore formal robes, decorated with symbols of their homeworlds. Leading them was a distinguished Olarin official with deep blue skin and gentle, elongated features. He approached with hands raised in a peaceful gesture. "Commander Lawson, I am Envoy Sina, sent by Councillor Arvo. May we speak openly?" Area stepped forward, returning his polite bow. "Envoy Sina, welcome to Danu Prime. I'm prepared to listen." Meanwhile, Emperor Sarzek of the Vashri Empire paced aboard his new flagship. Engineers bustled around, installing advanced shielding in hopes of countering the humans' electromagnetic attacks. Sarzek tapped a metal claw against a console. "Soon, we will move again," he growled. "This time, they will not surprise us." A nervous officer stepped forward. "Your Grace, are we certain a direct assault is wise? The Council might intervene." Sarzek's dark eyes gleamed with anger. "If the Council attempts to stop us, they will learn the strength of the Vashri. We do not forgive defeats." On Danu Prime, Envoy Sina and Commander Lawson retreated to a private conference room within the Human Command Center, a simple structure made from reinforced steel plates. The walls hummed with generator power, and outside, soldiers patrolled to ensure security. The envoy's voice was soft, almost musical. "Commander, the Galactic Council is torn between fear and respect for your people. Many believe you can help us usher in an era of peace, defending weaker species from empires like the Vashri. Others worry you might become the next great threat." Area listened carefully, weighing her words. "We didn't ask for this war. The Vashri attacked us first. Our new weapons exist because we refuse to be conquered." Senna nodded, the glow of the overhead lights reflecting off his azure skin. "I understand. But you must decide if you wish to share your technology. Even limited cooperation could reduce tensions. The Council's final vote depends heavily on your answer." Area's gaze drifted to the side, where a digital map displayed known Vashri positions in nearby systems. "Sharing everything could put our people at risk," she said at last. "We've seen how easily knowledge can be misused. However, we're not trying to dominate anyone. If the Council meets certain conditions, like restrictions on how they use our technology and a guarantee of protection for human colonies, maybe we can find common ground." Envoy Senna's expression brightened. "That is encouraging. I will communicate your terms to Counselor Arvo. Peace may still be possible." Back at the Galactic Council headquarters, the final session began. Counselor Arvo stood at the central platform, reading from a set of diplomatic updates. Envoy Senna reports that humanity is willing to negotiate. They only ask for security guarantees and mutual respect. A wave of relief seemed to fill the amphitheater. Ambassadors exchanged cautious smiles. Behind the scenes, staff updated the main display, which now showed a proposed treaty outline. Arvo's voice carried new hope. "Let us vote on whether to accept these terms. Peaceful cooperation, shared defense strategies, and regulated technology exchange. Humanity has proven its resilience. Perhaps they can also prove to be valuable allies." Lights flashed as each delegate pressed a vote button. Tension spiked, then settled into hushed silence as the results loaded. The large screen blinked once, twice, and then displayed a clear majority. The Council had voted yes. Cheers erupted from one section of the amphitheater. Others clapped politely. Arvo raised his arms. "The treaty passes. We will send an official acceptance to Commander Lawson and her people. Let us move forward together." Across the galaxy, the message spread quickly. Humanity would not be isolated. In hidden corners of space, Vashri spies sent frantic updates to Emperor Sarzik. In free-world outposts, once vulnerable species dared to hope that a new balance of power was coming. And on Danu Prime, Commander Aria Lawson received the news with quiet satisfaction, standing on the same cliff where she first witnessed the Vashri landing. Aria let the warm breeze brush her face. She knew a great deal of work remained. Diplomacy could be fragile, and the Vashri Empire still hungered for revenge. But for now, humanity had found a place in the galactic community, respected, feared, and ultimately accepted. Dr. Evelyn Crane and Jonas Albright would continue to refine Project Zephyr, making sure Earth and its colonies were safe. New alliances would form under the watchful eyes of the Galactic Council. And somewhere, deep in the blackness of space, the Vashri prepared for a new clash. But for the moment, one truth stood clear. Humanity's pioneering space warfare had forever changed the galaxy, and a new chapter was about to unfold. One shaped by bold innovation, courage, and the unity that had surprised them all.